Hi everybody, welcome to Science from My Kitchen, though today it's going to be science from the backyard. I had said we were going to plant this radish and today is the day. Here we go. We're going to take the radish. Notice all those long roots that radish grew and the big long stem. We're going to put the roots in the soil and cover them up. All the roots need to be buried. We've packed it down and the roots are all under the soil. No more roots showing. I left the radish and I left the stems, obviously, out of the soil. So we will see how big that radish grows. That was part one of what I wanted to do. And now we're going to dig up our biodegradable and non-biodegradable items. Just a reminder of what we did last week. We buried some things. We buried an eggshell. It was a regular eggshell. It looked a little bit brown. We buried an orange peel. It was orange. It had a little bit of definition there, so I kind of tried to color it the best way I could. We buried a plastic cap from a regular water bottle. We buried a paper clip. We buried Mr. Potato Man. I tried to make him look like he looked. We buried a piece of newspaper that was black and said the word party in red letters. I tried to do it exactly the same. When scientists record what they've done, they try to make it look exactly the same. The piece of white styrofoam, now I know it was a little bit dirty because it was the same styrofoam I used the year before. I just did it white. The banana peel, if you recall, it wasn't perfectly yellow. It had a lot of brown in it. I couldn't find a really good banana, so it had some brown in it. The balloon was yellow. This is what we buried in the soil. And we're going to dig everything up to see what happened. Before I even open the lid, I can see that something happened. What do you spy? Do you see roots? Remember I said I wasn't sure if Mr. Potato Man would turn back into soil or if it would grow into a new potato? Well, I think we've got our answer. This was in a dark cabinet in my basement for a week. No sunlight at all. And look, it's starting to grow. It's growing out. So that is an interesting fact of what has happened. Also, look at this, a piece of grass. So the grass that would not grow on that potato when it was out of the soil is now growing. Look at that. That is so funny. I never expected that. I'm not even sure how to dig this up. I'm going to just pull it. Oh, it's stuck. It's got roots dug deep in. Look at that. Oh, wow. Look at that. Look at all those roots. That is wild. We're going to plant Mr. Potato Man in its own special thing. We're not going to continue the experiment with Mr. Potato Man because our experiment was really bio and non-biodegradable. Now, Mr. Potato Man clearly wants to live. It does not want to go back into the soil. So what we'll do, look at this. This really wants to live. The sun you can really see. You can still see the face on Mr. Potato Man. It looks so different than it did last week. There are all the roots that came out, all the stems that are trying to grow, and now the grass also that's growing that never grew from Mr. Potato Man in the month that we had it. I buried Mr. Potato Man in the soil. I buried everything. There's one little blade of grass sticking up, but I buried everything down under the soil except for these. Based on our lesson on Monday, where do you suppose these grew from? Where did they start? Where did they originate? Based on our lesson on Monday, do you think these grew out of Mr. Potato Man's eyes? what was another word for those? Buds, nodes. Each one of these grew from one of Mr. Potato Man's nodes or eyes or buds. That was interesting. I did leave one little blade of grass sticking up too. I wonder if the grass will grow. We shall find out. Now back to our bio and non-biodegradable experiment. Now I will consult the map. The first thing we're digging up is the eggshell. That's buried around here. So I'll dig around for the eggshell. Here it is. Let me try to get it as best I can. Okay, you can see that it is cracked in a lot of places now. It's still pretty much intact. It still looks like an eggshell. It's got a bunch of cracks in it. There is a little piece missing here, but it is still pretty much an eggshell. It's got a little rip in it here. So that's the eggshell. I'll put it right there for us to look at. The next thing down is the orange peel. Let me find that. What's this? Oh, is that it? Oh, it is. It's the orange peel. It's got mold on it now. It actually didn't turn black. It turned kind of whitish because it's now moldy. So in 1 week, almost the whole thing changed from orange to a whitish color because it's all filled with mold. That, and if you could feel it, it feels squishy. So we call that feeling, we call it spongy. So it's spongy, squishy. Next down is our bottle cap. Let's see where that is. Here it is. If I take that out and get all the dirt out from it, it looks exactly the same. Nothing has changed for this bottle cap. Zero. It looks exactly the same. It feels the same. It feels just like any other bottle cap. And if I had the bottom for it, I could screw it right back on and it would hold the water inside. Nothing has changed. No breaking down of this bottle cap whatsoever. Next down is the paper clip. Let's hunt for the paper clip. Hello, paper clip. Where is my paper? Oh, here it is. The paper clip looks exactly the same, except it might be a little bit dirtier. If I clip it to my finger, it has the same spring-like action. It springs right back. I could clip it to the paper and it does the same job. If I could do it one-handed, I could show you. Hold on. It clips right to the paper. It would hold papers it would hold papers together just like any other paper clip, except a little dirtier. Our paper clip is still the same shape. I just pulled up the newspaper. If you can see, you can still read P-A-R-T-Y, party. It is a little bit ripped. You can see that it's a little bit ripped in one place, another little place, a little bit ripped. I've heard that when things are buried tightly and there's not a lot of activity with it, you could read a newspaper that is 100 years old. Our newspaper is going to decompose a little faster because it's not tightly packed with other newspapers. So again, I don't know how much it will decompose before the end of the year, but there will be a lot more decomposition than if it were a tightly packed newspaper packed together. Here is our styrofoam. It is exactly the same shape, exactly the same color, exactly the same size, feels exactly the same. Nothing has changed with our styrofoam. Definitely the banana peel is smaller. Some of it must have ripped. It's very black and spongy feeling. It's definitely ripping up fast. You can see that it's actually, just the back of it even, is already kind of turning into soil. I don't know if you can see that. The banana peel is definitely going to biodegrade pretty quickly. The balloon, on the other hand, looks exactly the same. Same feel, same size, same shape, nothing happened to this balloon. I buried everything back up according to the map. All cleaned up and ready to say goodbye to another edition of Science from My Kitchen, which is actually science from my backyard. And the big question is, what built a nest in my umbrella? That's for another day. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I can't wait to dig everything up next week and see what it looks like.